Ben, we've travelled to Doncaster to One Site Laser to have a look at some of your products here. Now, firstly, in your opinion, why do you believe they've chosen TRUMPF Fiber Laser?
Well, we've had a really good relationship with Sean now for quite a few years, going back to his first purchase with the CO2 lasers, and I think it's really been down to the relationship first and foremost. Obviously the technology comes into it, and TRUMPF are a little bit different with what they do with their technology, particularly when it comes to the lasers themselves.
Now, in regards to the laser, you mentioned CO2. Now, what's the transition been like from CO2 to fibre, and why have they gone to fibre?
Well, the difference between the CO2 laser and the solid state laser is quite different. Basically, you're producing a very different wavelength. And solid state laser is nothing new. It's something that's been around for, nearly 20 years now. It has only really been the last 8 years or so we've started seeing it onto the flatbed machines, so these 2D cutting machines. With regards to why they've come with TRUMPF, there are a couple of reasons. I think first and foremost, we do things a little bit differently on the solid state. So you mentioned there the fiber laser. Now, on this machine today, we have what's known as a true disc. We also produce what's known as a true fiber, which is something that most people are familiar with now. And we actually produce it here in the UK. And they are very, very similar technologies, effectively both creating similar types of power, both pulling very similar power from the wall. It's just effectively with our true disc, it tends to be a little bit more secure than the fiber laser for the process. Yeah.
So what kind of savings would you expect Sean to be seeing now he's made this transition?
Generally, rule of thumb, moving from CO2 laser over to solid state, you'd probably say at least half of the power consumption and about half of the gas consumption. So it's made a dramatic difference to what Sean can make the parts for. And as far as the quality goes, the way this technology has developed over the last 8 years, it's really now there to maximum effect.
So in regards to quality and accuracy, he's still producing the same parts that he was to the same quality and accuracy then?
Effectively, yes. Everything is to the same tolerance. Now, there is still a home for CO2 laser, and you would generally find on the very specialised jobs, maybe you've got some very thick stainless, you'll get a different type of quality from a CO2 to a fibre. But as far as the tolerance is concerned, it's absolutely bang on, particularly with the bright line fibre, which Sean has here.
Now, are there any other transitional aspects that the operators need to become familiar with, apart from just the actual cutting of the material?
Yeah, the technology is slightly different. Now, general rule of thumb again, the technology is far easier to master and control. And that's just the nature of how that laser is produced. So it's far easier to pick up straight out of the box and go. One thing it doesn't have an advantage over the CO2. I guess the CO2 you would have more control of the laser source itself, but effectively when you're doing more peculiar materials, more exotic materials, it's far easier to get that cut perfect first time every time.
Cheers, Ben.
Okay, thank you.